Got a special episode coming today, and I'm really proud to be part of it. But before we get into these details, I got a couple things I want to throw your way. First of all, a huge shout out to liverishi.com. These guys have some awesome CBD products to help you relax, rejuvenate, and get a good night's sleep. I've been using these products for years, and I love them. Go over, check it out. Use the code word TABLE. Get a great discount. You're going to see how much we appreciate your support. So, CBD products, liverishi.com. Use the code word TABLE. Also, we have a YouTube channel. Would love for you to go over. It's under Walt's Kitchen Table. You're going to see my smiling mug. Subscribe, like, and share. It helps the channel out a bunch. And what I do, obviously, I put the audio of all the episodes on there, but I've been putting up some fun videos that you can only find on YouTube. So jump over there. Would love it. And I think you'll get a kick out of some of the content. On to the show. Welcome to Walt's Kitchen Table, where I feature captivating stories from fascinating people. Today, Artem Lomez. He's an award-winning event. Well, let me back this up. He's a two-time award-winning event. No, wait a minute. Going to back it up again. Artem Lomez, two-time back-to-back award-winning event entertainer, public speaker. And he's a friend of the show. He comes down, sits at the table, and talks about stepping out of his comfort zone. This dude wrote his first book, and it's called Special Day Way, and it's in honor of his late grandmother, who you're going to find out is a total badass. I mean, straight up OG. And his goal is to help portray seniors in a better light and grow the bond between kids and their grandparents. And all the proceeds from this project are going to Shriners Children's Hospital. And because his grandmother, you're going to see, was a pediatrician. Let's get to it. You got some big news.
Yeah.
So it's
this is a personal passion project I was working on.
okay.
I have a book coming out, a children's book.
What?
Yeah. So it's a children's book. Without giving away too much detail, it's
Well, give away all you want.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't want to give away too much detail.
Oh, okay.
I want people
All
to
right.
buy the book.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So, and essentially, I guess I'll put it to you this way: why my why behind it and my reason for doing it. So last year, my what I call my absurdly amazing grandmother.
Absurdly amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was ridiculous how amazing she was, and she completed her life journey. So that's my nice way of saying passed away.
Sure. How old was she?
She was 96.
Woo!
Yeah. So she, the Prince quote, "Life's a party, and parties weren't made to last." That's
There you
what
go.
it is.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Prince said that?
Prince said that in I want to say 1999. Now I feel bad because I should know.
I do. You should know that.
Yeah,
Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So 96. Where'd she live?
What's that?
Where did she live?
New
Here in Jersey?
Yeah. So,
Always?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, no. I mean, she was born and raised in the Soviet Union. She worked there.
I didn't know that. No,
yeah.
your grandmother. Okay.
My grandmother, yeah. And then she came here, right?
How old was? Do you know how old she was when she came here?
I'm going to say she was in her early 70s, late 60s.
Holy shit,
yeah,
man! So she was born.
She was born there. She was a doctor. She was a pediatrician, right?
Oh.
She was a pediatrician
In the Soviet Union.
in the Soviet Union, and it never really clicked for me until I was telling someone the story, and they kind of were taken aback. She was the head of her clinic. She was a pediatrician, head of her clinic in the 60s and 70s, and they're like, wait, she was a female doctor. That was the head of the clinic in the 60s and 70s.
That's awesome.
And
in Russia. Or
and in
Soviet Union.
right.
Right.
And it just, sometimes, like the amazing people around you don't really
Dude, I'm telling you,
understand how amazing they are until somebody puts it into perspective. And you're like, oh, that's just what I know. Like, there's just grandma. She's just awesome.
Yeah, that's just
Right.
my grandmother. I see her. She makes chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly. Yeah. So to me,
Everybody's extraordinary, dude.
they are.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody.
they are. And for me, it was just, and the thing is, like, I'm fully aware that people have different relationships with their grandparents, right? And some people have varying qualities of grandparents or parents or
Right.
whatever it is, right?
Right.
But to your point, everyone is extraordinary in one way or another. Not
Absolutely.
everyone discovers it, and that's the sad part.
Can't agree with you
Right.
more.
But going back to grandma, she was essentially,
She knew she was a fucking OG too, huh?
I would hope so. I hope she knew.
No,
Yeah.
what makes her an OG, she didn't think she was an OG.
Yeah, no, very humble.
Right?
Very humble.
That
very
makes
humble.
her, yeah.
But, I mean, she...
Soviet.
I don't think you go through medical school like half
In the Soviet Union in the 60s.
Right.
Right. I mean, no, we got to put, I think we
context around it.
I think we got to put more context around that.
Right.
We're blowing by that really fast.
Right.
In the 60s in the United States
Yeah. It was
was
tough enough.
fucking
Right.
tough.
Right.
In the 60s in the Soviet fucking, dude.
Right.
What a great.
And she had a lot. Yeah. She had a lot,
Raising kids, probably. How many?
Yeah.
How many?
3 kids.
Okay.
Three
What'd the old
kids.
man do?
He was a math teacher. Wow. Well, funny story about a side note on that. He would make his own wine. He was a winemaker, right?
And taught math during the week?
No, he was a winemaker that made money doing. He was an entrepreneur. In the
wow.
Soviet Union, that is not.
I was just
That
gonna
is not
say,
taken
holy-
well.
Yeah.
So they basically, the government or whatever, essentially went to him and said, "Yeah, you can't make your own money. That's not how things work here."
No shit.
And then my grandma was like, "You're gonna end up in jail. So let's switch this up. Go teach math." Or something.
Are
right?
you
So he's like,
fucking-
"Oh, I like math. I'm gonna go." Then obviously he went through the process.
So he was
got
okay.
his
So
degree
he
and
was a
everything.
bootlegger, and then
I wouldn't call it that, but yeah, I mean, essentially that's how the government, I guess, looked at him.
right, yeah. The
Yeah.
way they look at him, he was a bootlegger.
He was, I guess, in their eyes, sure. Yeah.
Wow, and the whole time his wife was going to school. Or she was at the clinic at that
She was
point.
at the clinic, yeah. She went through school and she got her job and everything. They met.
Well,
later
he was
on.
bootlegging.
Yeah, I guess I know they met later on after she was already a doctor.
That's when they met. Okay.
She was. I don't think I ever got to, the specifics of this, just because I never understood it. Because obviously with the Second World War, there were they didn't. I think the war never really made its way towards that part of the Soviet Union where she was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I mean,
That's
obviously
interesting.
the war,
Well,
people,
sure.
they were involved.
It's called
but
the World War for
it
a
is,
reason.
right. I mean, it wasn't the war zone or the war efforts weren't in that area where she was, but everybody was sort of on edge, knowing that you might have to go at any point.
Okay.
Yeah. But she was a nurse at that time, right? She was I guess not a nurse, but she was studying to be. I guess that's a resident. That's the equivalency of a resident.
Of course, yeah. I
Medical
can see
resident
that.
student.
Sure, of course.
So she helped in that effort. And then she would go, she was, she's pretty badass, right? So she did a lot of cool stuff. And then eventually became a pediatrician. And then, her husband was making wine until he realized that's, entrepreneurship is frowned upon in
in a communist country.
in a pseudo-communist country.
Pseudo,
In a dictatorship, if you will.
Yep.
And they basically,
Wow.
and
So-
then he switched it up and he was an amazing math teacher.
So what brought him to the United States?
So a couple of things. My aunt always kind of had her eye on the U.S. and was like, things are better there, right?
Sure.
And
There's a woman that's kicking ass.
right, exactly. Oh, there's the lineage, right? Grandma started the whole thing. My aunt doesn't take it, and my mom's like, they're pretty badass, right? They don't take stuff from nobody, and they were always my aunt was kind of taking a look at the U.S. and I kind of knew that was a much better opportunity for her and for children, obviously, for her kids. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a big push to get people out of the Soviet Union because things were starting to crumble, right?
Yeah,
and they knew it, right? And then obviously everything hit the fan in the early 90s.
So who was doing the push, the U.S. or the Soviet Union?
I think both. Well, no, more
society in the Soviet Union.
Society in the Soviet I think the Soviet Union knew it was a wrap. Right. And then society kind of saw the writing on the wall. And to be quite honest, society there was a very small percentage of people who were like, oh, this is great. Right. The Soviet Union was not a happy place to be in.
No.
So people were looking at opportunities, just that the opportunities to get out weren't always there.
Yeah. I was just
but
wondering.
then when the Soviet Union had much bigger things on their plate, when things started to really kind of crumble and fall apart, they were just like, fine, whoever wants to go, we'll figure it out. Just go. Kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm sure there was more to it. We're oversimplifying it.
Right.
And there were certain, demographics that were probably allowed to go sooner than others. I don't know, right? I don't know the logistics of all that, but I'm sure. Again, it's not a friendly place, so I'm sure there were certain demographics that wanted to get out before other demographics. But I'm sure nobody was unless you were benefiting from the corruption. Like I don't think many people were happy
to be there.
Exactly.
Right. So what was the in order of family members that came over?
My aunt and her family.
Okay. Right to New Jersey?
No, they made a stop in Italy. That's how they went, right? That was their process. So they spent a couple months in Italy, then went to New Jersey. A couple of different spots in New Jersey, but they ended up in New Jersey. And then they invited my grandmother, and then they invited us, and then they invited everybody, right? So my grandmother went, and my grandfather passed away a month before they were supposed to go, right? But then talk about like the badassery of like, she could have just been like, well, it's not meant to be.
He's like, fuck it, man, I'm out of here.
Let me settle down here. Damn. I mean, she was just like, look, I got to do what I got to do. My kids are there. The other kids are going to be there.
Yeah.
I got to do what I got to do. Right.
Wow.
And then fast forward to her, basically. Yeah. And fast forward to her basically just spending time with every child and grandchild as they needed her help raising their kids.
Right.
So she bounced around from child to child, eventually ended up spending most of her time with us, with my mom and myself, my brother.
So were you born in the U.S.?
No, I was born in the Soviet Union.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
At the time, it was the Soviet Union, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know
I came here when I was 5.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of things transpired. I don't know if you know this or not, so I was born with some heart defects.
Okay.
And so one of the big things that really helped get us to the U.S. for us was me needing that surgery.
Oh, no. So you come over here and got surgery? And
I came over here and got surgery, right? And Grandma was a pediatrician, so she knew how to, take care of an ailing kid.
Yeah.
And essentially they said I wasn't, not to get ridiculously here, but they said I wasn't supposed to live past 3. And I made it to 6 to get the surgery.
Oh, okay.
And I give a lot of credit to Grandma. I'm pretty sure that as a pediatrician, she knew how to really kind of take extra care of somebody.
What a crazy cool story with your grandmother coming over here.
And that's like only a portion, right? That's just her coming over here. But Grandma is, so
we're looking at that at 30,000 feet.
Right. Yeah. So Grandma, there's a lot more to her badassery. She was pretty amazing.
No, she's amazing, dude.
Yeah, phenomenal cook, everything. Every thing you could think of, like a cool, nice grandma.
Yeah.
That plus she was, a pediatrician that at the time she would make house calls on top of working in the clinic.
In the Soviet Union.
So she would just walk blocks to get to people's houses. There's one story I remember at 3 or 4 a.m. she got a call. And she nudged my grandfather and he knew what it meant. And he was like, all right, yeah, let's just get up. I'm like, I'll drive you over. They were just that. And then probably the best possible example of just a loving relationship that they had, that just ride or die. They were really
so cool.
They were really good at evolving together and just making sure everybody was good with what they needed. And at the same time, they were in their own world, but making it work. Meaning
wow.
Her career was obviously very demanding. His career was demanding, but they made it work. And look, 3 kids, right?
Yep.
So
how many grandkids?
Too many to count. Let's see. So my mother is the youngest of 3, and I'm her youngest. So 3, so 2. Everybody had 2 each, something like that. I'm gonna ballpark it, but she actually later on in her later years she had a list.
And she would keep a list.
She kept a list, and I thought that was really cool because she's like, these are my riches. These are my true.
Oh, that's her account book.
This is what really counts.
That's awesome.
Right? And I thought that was such a cool way to put these are my riches. This is it. Right?
So cool. So
I'm going to say 12. I think something like that. With grandkids. Wow. I think that sounds
great grandkids?
Yeah. Great
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. She didn't make it to the great granddaughter's high school graduation. But she
knew she had great grand. Yeah.
Oh no, she helped raise one of the great grandkids. Right, she was there. She helped in
her 90s, kicking ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I remember I was a sophomore in high school. She was, I guess, probably 85 or so. She shoveled the driveway. Right, so she was kicking ass for a pretty long time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What did she pass from? Okay.
Just age.
Just got old and
wore
out?
Well, so what happened was she, I want to say around 87, 88 years old, she fell. She stumbled on some cord or something, right? So she tripped on something and she fell. She had to get surgery to repair that bone. And with that surgery, it required anesthesia.
Oh,
and anesthetics are not great for anybody But
Yeah, but especially
when
for
you're
old
older.
people. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The older you are, the
Shuts down your liver and it's crazy.
but your memory also, like it messes with your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she, I would say, recovered pretty well because she went through the physical therapy and we did a lot to like help her through it. So she, not 100% recovery, but she was there. I remember actually walking with her. She had a cane after that. Walking with her we had a stop sign on the corner of our street. Mm-hmm. And that was our goal. We would go to the stop sign,
No shit.
make it back, and then that was her like PT for the day.
So here's a 89-year-old grandmother from the Soviet Union walking with a walker to the stop sign and back every day.
It was a cane.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
cane.
Mm-hmm.
What's your fucking excuse?
Yeah, right?
Holy man, right? That goes back to what we've been talking about.
Yeah, but that's her biggest thing, like no excuses. Her phrase that I love, I didn't love at the time when I was a kid, but the thing she instilled in me was through don't want to, right? I would just say
that again?
Through don't want to. So what that means, I'll give you context around it. It'll make more sense. So she said go do something, I go I don't want to. She'll just like well do it through. Don't just push through. Like through don't want to, right?
Through
just
don't
push
want to.
through it.
Okay.
Just all right. I don't care if you want to do it or not. You got to do it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
So that was just her thing, like that, and if you take care of what you got to take care of, do that first, and then you can play carefree. Like, and that's kind of how all of life is.
Absolutely,
just get it done, right?
Yeah.
Get it done. So accountability is one of the biggest things she instilled in me, and she, of course, you repeat it several times to a child, but she definitely led by example. Right. It's not like she was saying it and then just like lying around.
Right.
Like
sure.
I don't think I saw her like nap until she physically had to, like in her like early 90s. Right. So she was just, there's a story of like how ridiculous she was in a good way. I think it was like we were washing the garage or something. We were doing something weirdly manual. And I'm like, Grandma, I don't want you to like physically strain yourself.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so she's like, fine, you can do it. I'm just going to tell you what to do. I'm like, fine. Well, fair enough.
Right.
She goes, all right, bring me a bucket. I'm like, well, that's you're still going to do it, aren't you? She's like, yeah, just bring me bring me a bucket and bring me, a broom or something. Yeah. She was in our neighborhood when we moved into our house when I was, I guess, like 12 or 13 years old. She was like one of the neighbors. She would always go and she would water our trees because we were told like you should water the trees so that they can grow healthier and whatever, right?
Yeah,
and like some people pay attention, some people don't. So she would go and water our trees. She would constantly be like, she would be on point. She would be on schedule. So like that's the neighbor that you look outside and she's doing what she's got to do.
6, 12, and 3.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
9, 12, and
9,
3.
12 and 3. Right. So yeah, she was just she got things done. She took care of business, and so when she passed, here's the thing: like the later years were I'm gonna say rough. I was a caretaker. I'm gonna say secondary because my mother did the bulk of that, right?
Sure.
But I helped, right? I assisted in that, so I can't say I was a caretaker. I feel weird saying that, but I definitely helped in the process, right?
Yep.
I helped take care of her, and I will say that it was the greatest honor of my life to do that.
That's awesome.
Because I feel like she, not only did she deserve it, but like, I
think...
think...
the other thing, too, is did she let you take care of her?
Yeah, of course.
You know?
You know what?
There's some pride going on,
There
I
was
imagine.
definitely some pride. You know how we actually had this conversation, I think, a while ago. You know how they say doctors make the worst patients?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Of course, right?
But I don't think, everybody has a different sense or level of pride, I guess. But I don't think when you're so accustomed to being an independent person and being like, she was, the woman of the house. She was always independent. And she was always in charge. And then you're like, I got to listen to this 20-year-old dude, like telling me what to do kind of thing.
Right,
like, I'm sure she wasn't thrilled with it. But eventually we got to a point where she knew she needed assistance and I was there to be able to help her. I was honored to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's again, greatest honor of my life. I think I covered maybe 1% of what she's done for me. Right. So
yeah, but we could be on here for days probably about that.
Of course. Yeah. But it's your amazing grandmother, right? It's like everybody has, or most people have something that they admire or their grandparents instilled in them.
Right.
I get that some people don't. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some grandparents don't have that type of relationship with their grandchildren. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's just more opportunity for you to develop that relationship with somebody else.
But I bet you her grandparents treated her that way.
I think so. I think it was just...
Right? And then she's like, hey, this is how you treat people. And then she treats you that way. Now I know where all that shit comes from with you, dude.
We never really discussed that, but I will say it's either that or she didn't get that and knew that when she had the opportunity, she would do that, right?
Yep.
Because
could very well be.
There were certain things where I know grandma was a little bit more strict in certain areas, and I know my mom was more not as strict, was more loose on certain things,
right?
Because she knew she didn't like how strict her mother was, of course. So she passed certain things on. But again, this is all certain things where you go through your life and you go, that's great, that I'm going to do differently.
Right.
And that's okay. And my grandmother was fine with that because that's just how life lessons work.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
and
the
how
thing
evolution
is, we're not doing the same thing that they did in the 1500s.
Thankfully.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
no, I guess some of us are. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe some of us not, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's people who choose to not evolve. And unfortunately, I'm sure they exist. But for her, the biggest thing for me was look, I can put up a statue or something, or I can I don't know. You could do something. Or I could I have photos of her. I can hang up a photo and be like, okay. But for me, the big thing was how do I, in some way, help a grandparent develop a relationship with their grandchild that's going to be everlasting, that'll last, not just a Thanksgiving visit,
right,
but do something where I have the opportunity to see her, right, pretty much every day for almost 30 years, right? So not every single day, but if you average it out, pretty much every day for
majority of your life.
25 to 30 years, we'll put it that way.
Right.
So obviously life lessons were learned, and the honor to take care of her and help do that.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to the final few years because they were rough, but you don't quite get the grief until it obviously hits. So I did learn about anticipatory grief. So that's where obviously it's coming. And look, she was 96 years old. She wasn't doing well. We knew it was coming, right? And then for us, when it happened, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. But I didn't get that time to grieve because after it happened, 3 weeks later, I was competing for Entertainer of the Year, right? So my mind was elsewhere.
That was last year. Wow, I didn't know that was recent.
Yeah. So I got my mental grief and I knew it was going to happen. Obviously, we all did.
Right.
And it happened in such a weird, not a weird way, but it worked out perfectly the way she would have probably planned it. As weird as it is to say that, it happened on a Saturday morning, right, in July. So it was the weather was nice. Saturday morning, she didn't get to nobody had to make any kind of weird phone calls or anything to get somebody out of work. Right. So it all happened as if she had planned that. But when that happened, and again, I was my head was in different directions. And so writing this book gave me that sort of that cathartic relief of knowing,
I can see that.
Yeah, it gave me that healthier grieving process.
Yep.
And then at the same time, I was this is going to carry on. Grief is selfish. Let's be really honest about that.
Because they don't fucking know.
No, they don't. They're fine, right?
Yeah.
Because grief is selfish because you're oh, this is my loss. So I never really wanted to go into that woe is me mentality. Sure. But yeah, I lost somebody that I, spent a lot of time with and then really helped shape who I was. So I felt I had the right to grieve. And then I also felt I didn't want to be selfish about it. I got 30 years with an amazing human being on this planet. That's pretty damn good.
And that can't last forever.
Of course, yeah. Right. It's not going to last forever. So to get 30 years, not everybody gets 30 years, right? Not everybody gets a great grandmother either. I got both. I got a ridiculously amazing grandmother, and I got her for 30 years. So that was good, right?
Good.
It's pretty. It would sound very selfish to grieve too much over that. So yeah, you're grieving your loss, not them. They're fine, right? We've talked about that before. So grief is selfish to a point. And then I thought, okay, well, I need to go through a healthy grieving process where I can. It wasn't sudden, so it's not like I had to like bargain or come to terms with it, right? So I
Carry
knew
the two.
exactly, yeah. So I knew like it was gonna happen, and so like that was. I thought that would make it easier, but again, it kind of just
It never does.
No, it still hits
It's
you.
like a boxer. He knows he's going to get hit.
Right.
You know it's coming.
Right. It doesn't make it less painful.
Right.
Exactly.
You still got to deal with it.
Right. And you know that. Obviously, I think we all have experienced that. So then when that happened and then I started writing the book, the reason I started writing the book is because I started thinking about what things could I do to not only, I guess help me in a cathartic way, but also make it less selfish and do something where other people could benefit from the relationship that I had with her and show people that like you can have a wonderful relationship with your grandparents. And then another side thing to it was like, I don't like the way the seniors are portrayed in certain areas. Where like growing up, I used to watch The Simpsons and like, I like The Simpsons, but there's that there's that little thing like, did we really have to portray seniors this way? Even like Rugrats, where it was a bit more positive.
Still.
But even still, it was like, are there not, like, there's such badass, like, people that have experienced so much more than you can even imagine. So I wanted to portray seniors in a nice, like, in the true light that they deserve to be portrayed. So I wanted to do that in this book.
Okay.
And I also wanted to encourage people to spend time with their grandparents and not make it a once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year.
I gotta go to grandmother's house.
Exactly. Oh, right. Their Wi-Fi is slow or whatever. I don't know. Is that a thing? But like, I don't want people to like roll their eyes and go, I gotta go to grandma's house. Or, I don't see the point of being there, or I don't see the point of listening to her stories or grandpa's stories or whatever. Like,
there's the same 5 stories all the time. Right. Absolutely. We've all been there.
Right. So I never felt like I was never ashamed of her. I never felt like I was wasting my time with her. Like it was just like we were tight, right? Like she was a friend.
Yeah.
Right. She was Biggie and I was Puffy. Right. I was gonna throw some 90s.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah. I had to. I can't get away with.
I got an over/under bet with a buddy. How many references you got going?
Yeah. No, but it was truly like that. It was like she was Biggie and I was her hype man. Like I just wanted her to be like, in her moment, and you just get all the acclaim she could get, but she was very humble. So everybody knew, like in our family, we knew like how badass she was, right? How absurdly amazing she was. Little side story with like how amazing and giving in general. So you might know this. I don't like raisins, right?
Okay.
My oldest cousin, she doesn't like raisins. And
Blasphemy.
Really? But my grandma used to make this really good strudel where she would put in a bunch of dried fruits, and one of the dried fruits happens to be raisins. So she'd make a separate slice just for her without raisin.
No shit.
And then that eventually went to me too, where it was just the one little piece without raisins. And so she would cater to...
Well, that's her taking care of everybody.
That's her taking care of, but that's going such like the extra step.
Yeah.
And so when she was, towards, later on in her life, when she was still capable of like going to doctor's appointments and everything,
right?
During the holidays, she would just bring like a doctor like a box of chocolates, right? A little gift. And that I would always kind of like, we were like an old married couple. We would just like bicker, but it was always like in good jest. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they don't care. And she's like, they do. Like they might not care. And if they don't, I don't care. I just want to show my appreciation level. And that really seeped in when I started working in events and I started to see like hospitality.
Or lack of.
And then gifting. Gifting to me is like become a big thing because even if someone doesn't appreciate your gift, all right, well, I still gave somebody a gift. I had the opportunity to brighten someone's day.
Oh, okay. And if they decide whether to take it or not, right?
I don't care. Well, everybody takes gifts. It's a matter if it ends up in the garbage or if it's
what I mean is take it as like really accept it and bring it in.
As something that's warmly.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, if I send someone a gift, and this has happened, of course, you send somebody a gift and you don't hear anything or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Okay. No problem.
Well, I didn't expect the gift you sent me, dude. That's fucking amazing. Thank you.
Okay. No, yeah. I'm good in the sense
that in, man. We took that in.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. So that's the thing about gifts, though. Like, even if it's something as silly as like a handwritten card, right? Like,
yeah, but that's your time. That's precious.
It is, but my time is to create positivity in someone's day when they get it.
But the reason it creates positivity is because how precious
You're
it is.
You're acknowledging that I spent the time to do it.
Right.
Right. And so for her, it was more like, and I guess
and that's
maybe
that's what I mean by taking it in. Like when I took the gift you sent me, what I mean by taking it in, I was like, whoa, for him to do that, one, to think about it,
Right.
two, to actually act on it,
Right.
right? I mean, that it just, and going back to what I said earlier too, it holds a lot of weight. I can feel the weight behind it in a positive way.
I'm glad. Yeah, it was, listen,
Yeah.
you know, you went through what you went through, and I wanted you to know that that's something that I was thinking about when I found out.
So is this they're not like stories, like
No, it's one cohesive story.
One
yeah.
key, okay.
Yeah, it's one story. It's not like
Okay.
little mini stories or anything. No,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's one story. The book is, I guess we probably should have started with the title, but it's called Special Way Day.
Special Way.
Special Day Way.
Special
I may have said
Way.
it the other way. Sorry. Special Day Way. It's about a street, right? So the street is named Special Day Way, and once you get into the book, you realize why it's named that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. I like the
so-
concept already.
yeah.
Special Day Way.
Big shout out to my illustrator, Matt Keown. He was
Cowan. Do I know him?
Cowan. I don't think so.
Where does he live?
New Jersey. That's as far as I could take it. I think.
Okay, it's not the guy I'm thinking of then.
No, I want to say maybe Hope Pacon. I'm not sure where Matt lives. Matt, I'm sorry, I don't know where you live, but
Yeah, well, that's
he just tremendous. Not only super talented, but also
Good businessman.
a victim to the Artem Lomas creative process.
All right. I know how that
So,
goes.
yeah,
Matt,
yeah.
I hear you, bro. I got you, bro.
So
If
he
you want
went
to trade
through.
notes one day, let me know.
I'm sure you both have voodoo dolls of me at this point. But yeah, he went through my notes and everything that I wanted. He kind of took me through the process. The biggest thing is he took me through the timeline and my expectations, and he placed expectations in front of me, which I'm sure you know is what I need.
Yeah, of course.
Like I need to have.
And then he's got to execute.
He did, and that's the thing. But the fact that he set expectations in front of me was tremendous, because again, I didn't really know a children's book process, right? It's
Right.
not like a business book process, right? It's completely different.
Yeah, that'd be a 180.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So, and I'm not used to reading children's books. Like I read them as a child, and I've seen a couple. My niece and nephew, we've read them together, but I'm not browsing Barnes and Noble or Amazon or anything for children's books.
So when you-
until I started doing research for this one.
Yeah. So when you put like the format down, did you like data dump your whole idea and then start editing it down and then there's a format? Okay, for a children's book, you should only have so many syllables and so many sentences on a word, and you should, most of the time it should end like this and the next thing picks up like this. Is there like a format for a children's book that like through research they figure out
There's no
what keeps their attention, that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
I mean, the shorter the better on certain things, and obviously you don't want to throw around like ridiculous words that they're not going to understand.
Right, 6-syllable words.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I think the rule of thumb is more so just the picture needs to interact with the words.
Right, multi-sensory.
Yeah, but I feel like there's certain books where the text is on one side and then the photos are the pictures on
Right.
the other, and then you have the text up top, and then you have
Or
the
like
pictures
the
underneath.
bottom left or top
Exactly.
right, whatever
yeah.
it may be.
Yeah.
That's what I
So
was
someone like
wondering
where
if
the
you-
text is within the picture, that's kind of cool too.
Okay.
So there's no real set, rhyme or reason behind it, but they're all really cool different ways. It just kind of comes down to how you want to create it.
Okay.
And how you think a child is going to interact with it.
And how you can sell it to the publisher.
How you can sell it to the publisher, but more importantly, how you can sell it to a parent, because children
Of
don't have
course.
buying power, right?
Right.
So,
Oh, wow. So now you're writing a children's book, but you got to market it to a parent.
right. Not too different from the wedding industry where you're marketing,
That's a good
right?
point.
You're selling a planner, you're marketing
Sad that
to a
we're
bride and
laughing
groom.
at that, but
Yeah. So,
Now, is there categories
oh yeah,
for children's books,
books?
like
Yeah.
active and education or motivation, whatever?
all of it. Yeah.
Where would yours fall under?
That's a great question.
You haven't figured that out yet?
But I didn't know what a category would be called under this one. I guess it's not like sports related or anything. So I would say just family and like family rhyming and interactive. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know the category, so I can't guess what category it'd be
Right.
under, right? I'd assume it'd be something about education,
Well, there's like adventure, right? So like
adventure. Oh, okay.
someone loses their teddy bear and they got to go with their dog and find it, and it's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cute.
yeah.
And like so that's an adventure book because
Right.
they're going through something. This was more of like
And then there's-
this is storytelling.
Okay.
Because it's
Probably
more like-
there's like education, like 1 + 1 is 2. These
Exactly.
2 blocks.
Yeah.
and,
The
you know.
caterpillar eats that. The caterpillar eats this. Right.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
not education. It's neither one of those. It's just more about it's a rhyming book, and,
Okay.
and it takes them through, like, it's not an adventure where they have to go and, like, there's a problem and a solution to it.
Right.
It's just more of, like, aspirational or inspirational.
Again, I don't know the
both.
categories, so I was just trying to.
Yeah. It's
an idea of
aspirational
what-
for me and hopefully inspirational for.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to give people. I'm just trying to figure out too.
Sure.
Yeah, like kind of where it's at.
But I think also that's the beauty of any kind of art. And I know it's silly to call a children's book art, but
Of
like
course
it's
it's
art.
art.
Right? It's subjective. So like you might put it in one category, somebody else might put it in
Sure,
another category.
sure,
I'm okay
sure.
with that. I don't care as long as they're buying it.
Yeah.
Right. And then another portion of why I need them to buy it is because obviously I want to spread the message, but I decided that in honor of my grandmother and the fact that she was a pediatrician and how much she cared about children, whether they were her own or not, right? Because she was a very caring pediatrician. And she just loved children and she was always very helpful. I decided to take a portion of the proceeds and donate them to pediatric care facilities and organizations.
So you.
Go ahead.
So like, can you say a certain percentage? Or you're still trying to work that out because the cost haven't come up yet, right?
No, it's not the cost. It's just we're figuring it out with what the organization essentially, what's going to work best for them, because obviously they need to put their stamp. I mean, obviously it's an organization that collects money for pediatric care, right?
Right. So,
it's like,
you
to
got
them, it's
a right. You got a targeted organization.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to still work that out, and that'll come about.
It's pretty much there. We're just looking for approvals because
Okay.
obviously they want to make sure they're properly aligned with everything.
Right.
And then
Ripple
also
effect. They don't want to put some book out there or
Of
be
course.
associated with a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
negative.
also, I'm sure they want to track the fact, like I could just easily come up here and say it's going to go to, proceeds are going to go to pediatric care, and then somebody buys the book thinking that it's going to go, and then like 0.02% of it goes to
Right.
actually, I'm
Right.
like,
Well,
of course I'm not going
And
to
I
do
know
that.
I think of it negative too a lot about that because years ago I heard like the Salvation Army CEO makes like
Right.
some crazy amount of money.
and then
It's
the
like,
money
seriously,
doesn't
dude?
actually go anywhere. Yeah,
Right.
so that's where I am. I actually, one of my friends has a direct connection through his family, and through him, he's done a lot of events for this organization.
Cool.
And we know the money does go to where it needs to go. Yeah.
I forgot to ask you a question. Did your grandmother speak English?
To an extent. So another one of my responsibilities with her was to help translate certain things, and sometimes we would go to doctors' offices together, and I would help translate.
Can you speak Russian?
I can. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know
Seriously,
that?
dude,
Get out of
I
here.
didn't know
Really?
that.
Okay.
You got okay, so now you got to say something in Russian.
That's not gonna happen. But no, what do you want?
Just a sentence. I want to
here's
hear
what
your Russian,
Here's
man.
my thing. I don't present it like that, and I'll tell you why. Because number one, I think
It's
sometimes
a secret now. Nobody.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it's mysterious, right? Now you want to hear it. Donate to the book, and then I'll say a couple
there
of
we
things.
go. All right.
I think that I'm a big believer we're all the same, right?
Okay.
At the end of the day, we're all the same. All these little nationalities and stuff.
Yeah, it's all
it's
bullshit
cool
shit.
to celebrate in some way, but it's all just lines on
Well,
a map.
no, it's going back to we're pack animals, and the Irish is my pack, the Germans are my pack, whatever it may be, right? I'm making an
Kind of, but
example.
also at the same time, like if you look at even we were talking about Soviet Union, it's not that anymore, right?
No.
It doesn't exist,
Right.
So it's just lines on a map, and they're constantly being erased and adjusted.
Yeah, right.
So at the end of the day, we are all the same. We're human beings, and I always look at you know how much I love Abraham Maslow,
Yep.
and he has his Maslow's hierarchy of needs, human hierarchy of needs. It's not male hierarchy or female hierarchy
No, of course
or
not.
Italian or Russian or whatever. It's the hierarchy of needs of people. And
Okay.
it's a level playing field. Everybody needs the same thing. Everybody wants the same things.
Yep.
It's the same thing,
Ah.
right? So regardless of how you communicate, what you put on your chicken, it doesn't matter, right? That's
Right,
all
right,
just
right.
societal stuff we've overcomplicated. So that's why I never really like to talk about like different, like obviously I think we should to an extent celebrate differences, but we have to find that line of where do we celebrate them and where do we not let them separate us.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? How do we not let it take over and go, that person's not like me, so it's an issue? They are like you. You just are too close-minded to see that kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's why I never really push on anything that's like that, and I don't promote the fact that I mean, yeah, it's nice to have. I'm a big proponent of having a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth language.
Oh,
Get
God.
as many languages as you can.
I can't speak another. Well, I speak sarcasm and English, but
But you know what? That's a great example where if you roll your eyes sarcastically, that's universal. Like, you don't need another language, right?
Okay, good.
Certain things like that where it's like,
well, what 80% of your communication is nonverbal,
right. So
right?
going back to grandma, if she was in a grocery store and she needed to find out how much bananas cost, she made that happen. Yeah, she made that happen. She would go talk to somebody with broken English, but she'd make it happen.
Yeah.
There was a really funny interaction with her, and at the time, my cousin's wife. Her mother was Italian and like recently immigrated, and like she didn't speak a word of English. And my grandmother goes over to her and she goes, "Husband?" And then she turns to her and goes, "Work." And like they knew what that meant.
Was it.
Yeah. Where's your husband? He's at work. But they just needed those 2 words and they got it. Like, that's why I think, like, again, where there's a will, there's a way. If people want to truly communicate, they'll find out how to do it, and just keep empathy in mind. And that's the other thing that grandma taught me. Like, just be nice. Just be empathetic and be nice.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. And I think I wrote it in my dedication in the book. She taught me that life's really not that hard if you're just nice to people.
Absolutely.
And mind your business. Like, right? Just be nice, mind your business, and take care of yourself and what you got. Like, take care of your tasks. Do what you got to do. Everything else falls in place.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Nice. Productivity makes you happy.
Yeah, because then you have time to actually relax and enjoy the free time.
Right.
You can make free time.
Well, if it's a priority.
You can make the free time, but if you're doing that by ignoring your responsibilities, you're not going to truly enjoy that, though, because that's always going to be in the back of your head, right? I still got to do this. I still got to do that.
Yep.
We've all experienced it. We've pushed certain things back, but then you know what that happens, right? What that does to your brain.
Yeah.
I got to do this. I got to do that.
Yep.
Right. So that's why grandma's whole, like, through don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to. You actually sent me something years ago. I don't know if you remember this. It's not. I can't call it a meme. It was just like more one of those like posters. Success in 9 words.
Oh, well, yeah. Do the shit you don't want to do.
Do what you don't want to do. Yeah. Do what
you clean it up.
Yeah. Thank you. Do the things you don't want to do.
No, that's exactly right. No, if you just grab. Oh man, I don't want to send that fucking email. You know what?
Right.
You send the email. How bad? How bad was that? It wasn't.
Right.
Next. Just do the shit you don't want to do.
Right. And what happens? Like, you don't get an email back, or you get back something you didn't want to get back, and then that's still a conversation needs to be had.
It's completed though.
Right.
Right.
It's done.
So my caveman way of thinking is take your job for an example. Mm-hmm. You own your own business.
Right.
If you tell me that you love what you do 100% of the time, I'm going to call you a liar. Right? There's some tasks that you probably don't like to, okay?
Yeah.
Right? If somebody's...
And that can vary too, event by event or case by case, of course.
But if you take a person that does the same thing every day.
Right.
Okay? Which is not me, which is not you.
Right.
But I've been in that position.
Mm-hmm.
There's pieces of that job you don't like.
Sure.
And if you tell me you're one of these fucking nuts that say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, that's a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Right? The way I look at it is 80-20 rule.
Right.
80% of the time, I fucking love what I do.
Well, that goes back.
20% of the time, I'm doing whatever I need to do to get back to the 80%.
Right. Yeah. Make your way back to doing
know that you're right, man. I'm going to do this because if I get this done, I get to do this.
Right.
And it's fun. You might have fun with everything, whatever gets you through the day,
right?
Makes you productive. But me, I don't like it, I don't hate it, but it's just not my preference,
right?
But I understand that if I concentrate and just can't do this one thing right here, mm-hmm. then I get to do all this other stuff that I really, really, really enjoy doing,
right?
But I know that this needs to be done to enjoy this. Do I like to edit this and put other things together? It's not my preference. Right. I'd rather be sitting here doing this,
right?
Right? So it's the same thing. Just if most of the time your life is good,
right,
you're fucking good.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's the
thing.
There's
always exceptions. So I got to throw that.
Of course, but that's the thing. That's the whole cyclical thing of like, it's good and bad, and everything is temporary, good and bad.
Everything is, yep.
Right. And so that's the thing where, like, focus on the positive, because there's always going to be something positive. There's always going to be something negative. And that's what life is. And that's going back to, we were talking about our friend Chris. Terrible things can happen, right?
Yeah, but look what came of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's what you focus on. It's what lessons you take away from it. And it's how you approach it. So going back to my grandmother and my mom always constantly would instill, there's always at least two solutions to a problem.
Of course.
Right?
Sure.
There's always at least two things you could do about a problem. At least two.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that was her way of just going like, and again, I don't think you make it through medical school
without an attitude
like that by half-assing your way through. Maybe some people do, I don't know, but if you want to be really good at it and you want to get to a point where you're head of your clinic, right, or head of the hospital,
right,
you don't even make it through. Yeah, you don't half-ass anything. She never did, right?
Well,
Even simple things. Right.
The thing is, though, what's that? What you do one thing, you do everything.
Yeah, because you take pride in it, because then you know you're doing it right. But then also, like, you don't want to leave certain things undone.
Oh, never. Well, yeah, certain things.
Yeah.
Certain things are the key. Is a key word there, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes if you want to, you always want closure with everything, right? As a person.
Well, some people like the drama of not having closure, and they live off that drama.
Well, your closure. Then in that case, I would counter that with my closure is walking away from the situation.
Yeah. See, all right.
That's still my closure.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. But yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah. That's
if you don't get closure, you make your own closure. That's how that should work.
Yeah. Oh man, we could talk about that for
Right?
a while.
Yeah.
Hang on just one second. Not technical difficulties.
No, but go ahead, and I'm just gonna take the mic time then because I like mic time.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. I'm back. Sorry again. But your grandmother.
Yeah.
Just a quick recap because we went a little over everything.
Sure.
What? How 70 years old she was in Russia. Well, Soviet Union.
You know what? I want to say, about 70 years old. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's somewhere late
she
60s,
wasn't
early
20.
70s. Yeah, she was exactly.
Right.
She wasn't 20. She was retired. She was literally retired when she came.
But
here.
she retired as a
doctor,
a female
pediatrician,
head of her clinic.
Right, exactly.
In the Soviet Union in the 70s.
60s and 70s.
60s and 70s.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow over that. That's
Well,
right?
I mean, theoretically, if you think of the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and then your aunt moved to the United States first, then she followed.
Right. My aunt and her family, and then she followed. Grandma followed. Then we came in, and then
so your grandmother was living here before you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a few months before.
And then she basically ended up living with you.
Yeah, with our family. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was the youngest of her youngest.
Right.
And so, she felt like she was needed and necessary with whoever needed help raising their children.
And then she passed on at a young 96.
96, yeah.
Fucking nuts, dude.
That was complete. She dotted her I's, crossed the T's, 96.
96.
Yeah. So
now you're writing a book.
Wrote the book.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Dude, like 8 versions, and that's probably underestimating. I went through so many different versions of this.
8's.
Yeah.
Wait till you talk to my wife about that.
I'm not talking about editing. I'm just saying what this should have been, what this story could have been.
I was going to say, man, you only went through 8 edits.
No, not edits, but like...
Mike, how many times? Matt, how many times did he edit?
Oh, yeah.
Tell the truth, buddy. Tell the truth.
But by the time I got to a point where I actually sent something to the Illustrator, to Matt, I think I sent him one version, and then I'm like, hold.
10 minutes later?
No, like probably a few months later. I was like, hold on. Because I told him, I'm like, don't start anything yet. This is my rough draft version.
Oh, okay.
And then, life gets in the way and certain things happen. And then another Entertainer of the Year competition and a couple of things, right? So and business, obviously. So I think it was a few months after I sent the original version, or not the true original, the original he saw, which probably was like the 4th version of what I wrote. Then I told him, hold off on this. This doesn't seem right. And my sister-in-law is a teacher. So I have a little bit of an inside track to like a typical elementary school child, right?
That's cool.
So I ran it, my first or second version, I ran by her and she took it to school with her kids.
Oh.
And
how'd it go?
Not well. And she was like, and she was like, this isn't gonna hold the kids' attention.
Dude,
and
that is awesome that you bombed. Dude.
I interact for bar and bat mitzvahs. I interact with 12 and 13-year-olds primarily. For what I do, I mostly interact with adults. Right? I'm good with kids in a situation where I can control it.
Right.
Right. But I don't necessarily know, and my writing style. I don't write for children. right?
Oh my God,
So I had
dude,
to
so-
I had to simplify. I had to just rearrange. I had to take. My problem was I was trying to teach them a lesson, and it wasn't fun because nobody wants to be just like
No, you got
sat down and taught information or
Right.
like taught life lessons. And so this was the final version finally that I'm super happy about and I'm really proud of. This is the version that teaches them that, but also does it through rhyming, a story, and entertainment rather than education. And then there's an underlying, and a couple of people have said, different, like they took different takes out of it.
Okay.
Said different perceptions of it. And I was happy with both. I'm like, great. The fact that there's different perceptions and they're all positive and they're all good, and then
That's
great.
a good sign.
Run with, yeah, like I'll run with it.
Now, did you have a case study with the final version?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we took it to a couple elementary schools, and then we also, my niece and nephew aren't in the age range of where the book is. They're a little bit older.
Oh, okay.
So my niece is, when I wrapped up the book, she was 11.
No, she's way out of that.
She's way, yeah. But she still knew, like,
Sure.
what she would want to see as a kid. And so then she still, you still get a nice life lesson. The thing is, she's in that area where she can read on her own, right?
Oh,
She's
okay, yeah,
and she
yeah.
obviously understands much larger words, and
Right,
she's
right.
self-sustainable in terms of reading. And this is where I wanted the kids to be able to have the grandparent read to them, but also read to the grandparent. So I wanted that like flexibility of the child can still understand what this is. The child can still, like, I would love to see a child bring this book to their grandparent and say, "Let's read this together."
Okay,
That's like a goal I want to. I won't witness it, but I
Right.
would love for that to happen in a home somewhere. And then I just think like this is something where if you know someone that has young children, as a gift for them that they can then take to their parents and be like, "I want you to read this with my kid."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
how
I get it,
honored
I get
would a
it.
grandparent
Yeah.
feel if
Hey,
like this is a
here,
bonding experience I want you to have
Right.
with my
right.
child, right? So like imagine like your kid bringing you a gift that you could use with their kid. My grandma had a joke. I don't think it's probably like one of those like passed song from generation things. Her joke was sometimes your kids feel like they're your enemies, and your grandkids that makes them the enemies of your enemies. So they're your best friends. Yeah,
Yeah, your best friend.
Exactly.
No, that's a good way. I'm gonna have to remember that one.
Yeah.
So
So
a
she
situation I can use that. In.
right. So she was badass. She was great. The biggie to my puppy, man. I don't know how else I could put it.
Oh, wait, How many was that? I don't know if I got the over under.
It may have been only the two. There's just Biggie and Puff, but
No, 90s reference, period.
Oh, in general, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, man. We were tight. I gotta tell you, like, at first when she passed, those reminders are always there. Like,
Of
and
course.
it also becomes like what you look for, and so anytime I'd see like a kid with their grandmother or a lady with white hair, right, or it got to a point where like anytime I ate chicken. Because she made great chicken, right?
Oh, okay.
I would just think of her, and I was like, "God damn!" Like the grieving process,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
It would be that little mini pity party of like, she's not here with me anymore.
Right.
But then I got to a point where every time I see that now, every time I do eat chicken, every time I do go to a shopping, like a grocery store, every time I hear certain things on the radio, every time, like I think about her constantly, but in a good way. Like it brings me joy,
Right.
rather than melancholiness. Like, did I say that right? Melancholiness. There you go. So rather than bringing me like grief, it just brings me joy now. I'm like, yeah, like I got 30 years with like the dopest grandma you can imagine.
Sure.
And that makes me happy, and I hope the book makes people happy when they read it and where they're able to interact with it. And so,
And then in honor of her,
yeah,
it's going to go to
yeah, some
children
pediatric care. Because I mean, obviously,
organization.
she spent number one personally, she just loves children and she cared for children. She spent so much time and effort and energy into raising her children and her great children and her great great grandchildren. And then professionally, I don't know the data. Like I don't know how many children she helped, but I'm gonna guess it's in the thousands.
Yeah.
Right, with doing what she did for that long. So whether it was, I think in my dedication I wrote children cared for or cured or simply taken care of.
Yeah. The ripple effect there.
Yeah.
The kids she took care of.
Exactly. Who knows what they did? Like a life she possibly saved. Like who knows what they're up to now?
Right.
So just that, the fact that she devoted her career and her personal life to just children across the board, I felt like pediatric care is something that I think it's
cool,
important
dude.
in general, but for her, that would have meant a lot. And then on a side note, when we were at a point where we were taking care of her, she would, we would like, you know, kind of like tuck her in and put her to bed because she was going to bed pretty early.
Right.
And then I would, after that, we had, in another room, we had a little baby monitor, right? So we could see if she was ever in need of anything or if she just got up or whatever, right? Just so we knew, like, we would have to rush over there and help her out if she needed to, or maybe calm her down if she was having a rough night or something like that. And I will say that, so I spent some time living at home. That baby monitor was in my room, right? Because I didn't have a traditional schedule. Like, so
Okay.
I could not get a good night rest. I mean, that's not good to say. I obviously, you know, admittedly, I put certain things to the side. Like certain things were not in my field of vision when I was taking care of her. Like I wasn't dating.
Of course. Yeah,
like
of
I
course.
wasn't dating at the time. I just put that to the side.
Yeah,
I wasn't
of
doing
course.
certain, like
Sure,
business
sure.
is the only thing that really
We got to keep the refrigerator
you
full.
got to keep it. Yeah. Like I would never put it above her, but I knew like there's certain things I had to take care of, but I never made anybody feel like nobody knew. Like, right? Like I never
I fucking know,
I
dude.
never made anybody feel like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed with this process
right.
that I can't get back
You
to
know,
somebody or whatever, right?
Yeah, not to turn around, but
No,
I
please.
did the same thing recently.
With grandma? With okay.
yeah, I just no.
Yeah.
I don't need to put it out there, and
No,
I
of
don't
course.
want to walk in somewhere and everybody's like, "Ooh, no, I don't need that."
No, it wasn't even so much that, but like I didn't want anybody to feel like I had something else going on that was taking my attention away from what
them.
I needed to do.
Yeah.
Everybody should like you know how my the phrase I use were like my approach to clients were like I want them to feel like they're the only one I'm working with.
Yeah.
They damn sure know that they're not, but
Right,
I want them to feel
but
like
as long
that
as they feel that way,
exactly.
Oh, sure.
And so I look at that in the same way. Like I want you to feel like when I'm calling you or texting you, I'm the only person that is talking to. Like you have my attention.
Right.
So I didn't, you know, and I knew she was sort of the same way. So we had a woman help take care of her in the last year or so. Amazing woman would come by a couple hours a day and help take care of her. And she told this story when she passed. She goes, at one point I got a phone call from my husband and I was talking to him. And then I turned around and grandma was like up on the bed. She like got up. She was just sitting comfortably. And then she's like, oh my God, Sophia, I'll be right there. And she was just like, and she, at that point, I don't think she even like was verbally communicating anymore.
Yeah.
But she went like that. She just like waved her hand. She was like, yeah, do what you got to do. Don't worry about it.
I got this.
Yeah. And she was just like, just do you, baby. We got it. Right. So just that, I guess that warmth of just like, you handle what you got to do. And then you come to me because I'm good. Like,
Yeah, but when you come over here, I want your attention.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for
Right.
you. I don't want you to be distracted when you come over.
but that was her thing. It's just like, let everybody be. Just be nice, handle your business, mind your business, and do you, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
just be nice, and that flows back to you.
Yep.
That's all it really comes down to.
100% agree with all that.
Yeah. So she's the one that instilled accountability into me. She's the one that instilled, empathy. Just
Dude, now
problem
this all
solving.
makes sense.
yeah. I
Yep.
hope so.
Yeah. No, you're a kick-ass dude, man. And now
Thank
I
you.
understand
Thank you.
kind of where you get it.
Thank you.
Obviously, you create your own thing,
Sure.
right? But
But that doesn't happen unless that's instilled in you.
yeah,
right? Like,
no. Yeah.
So
And you got a kick-ass grandmother.
yeah, man, she was awesome. She was like I put it, absurdly amazing.
cool-
Like
that's
to
cool.
have a person that was that amazing, and not only professionally, but there's a lot of people that I'm professionally impressed with, but then sometimes you look at what they do personally, and I'm like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, you got that.
And vice versa. There's certain people
Yep.
who are like, I love them to death, but then I look at what they're doing with like,
It's like I'll never do business with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a little bit of that sometimes, but I just feel like, and that's all change. Like people change, right? That's all solvable.
Right.
But with her, it's just like she was so absurdly amazing. It's just hard to fathom. And I know, like, obviously she's my grandmother. I'm a bit biased on it. But I will say there's people that, don't have that, and they'll admit to it.
Right.
They know they don't have
Right.
that of an amazing relationship with somebody. And that's okay. Doesn't mean it's worse. It just means it's their relationship. But for me, like, just knowing who she was as a human being and how, like, people just gravitated around the fact that she was just so caring, that spoke a lot. And the fact that she never talked about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the big thing. Like that's
what makes her an OG. She doesn't.
And you know, like you and I have the same sort of approach. We don't talk about certain things. We just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like I never want to be the guy that like cried wolf. I never would be like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then like,
now you'll be a fucking martyr. There's no sense of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, I'm doing this because of that or because of me.
Right. Right.
Doing the right thing's fucking doing the right thing.
Yeah. So I used to run around. You've been there. Yeah, we've done it together. I used to run around Horseshoe Lake. Yeah, the lake. And they actually have those little benches, they're dedication benches. You can buy a bench and dedicate it to somebody.
Oh, no shit.
And I was thinking about doing that. You dropped your pen if that makes it into that. So I was thinking about doing that, but I'm like, I don't know. Like a bench is, and maybe at some point I will, but like a bench is cool and it's nice that it'd be here, but it would just be for me. Like I would know the bench is there and my family would know, but like.
Other than that.
It gives somebody a place to sit, but like there's other benches here.
No, I think
like
that's
book.
Great. The book. No, you touch so many more people.
Right. Right.
And you're touching people that have no idea what the history or anything about behind it.
And they don't.
Right? And they don't have to.
No,
of course they don't have to.
They know it's dedicated to her. They know that we had. I would hope that it speaks through the dedication that I wrote that we had the relationship that we had, and. I would hope that then they can at least inspire them to have that with either their grandchild, if they're the grandparent, or with their grandparent, if they're the grandchild, as they move through life and have that book in their life.
You know, too, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. We're not here for 30 or more hours. Like
we could be, but
we easily could be. Yeah. That's the problem with you and I. Yeah.
What I wanted, we talked about memes. And everything we've been talking about.
We did talk about memes.
What a meme that it's not a meme. I guess it's a fucking meme. Anyway, fits you perfect. Reminds me of like it jumps out with you is a man or a person that plants a tree knowing that they'll never sit in its shade.
Yeah, in its shade. Yeah.
And I don't know how that ends.
I don't.
But it's positive.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't look at myself. I look at grandma with that.
She instilled that into you.
I guess so.
Right? But I'm looking at the immediate thing as your book.
Right.
So now you're making this book. You made the book.
Right.
And where you can find it and all that will be in the show notes in the post. So we'll link to that.
Yeah.
But that's the seed you're planting.
Right.
And you're never going to see the tree that it grows into.
Right.
And or never sit in the shade.
Correct.
Right? So that's really cool. And it's like,
and that's okay though. Like it doesn't.
No, absolutely.
I don't need to see it. But it happens.
Right. And I'm a big fan of podcasts.
Right.
But they're in a verbal form. Right. Mm-hmm. So you and I are sitting here, and again, we've referenced it 1,000 times already, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
You and I are sitting here talking, right?
Right.
Your emotions are going to go through the mic, talking about your grandmother.
Sure.
Now the ripple effect, somebody listening to this.
This is the most human thing I've ever done, I think, in quite some time, or probably in my life. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, because I'm usually, everything that I put out there, my social persona is more so, business.
Oh yeah, you're so exposed, dude. It's awesome. No, I think that's great though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm getting this I've heard about feelings before. I might be starting to experience them. Yeah.
But somebody listening to this or any of these or any fucking podcast you listen to,
right?
Does it affect you in a positive or negative way? And then you send those ripples out,
right?
Yeah. So that's going, all the metaphors that we can come up with. That's planting a seed. Mm-hmm. The tree grows. You and I never hear
you easily go
see
back.
that somebody sits under the shade,
right?
Enjoys the shade, metaphorically speaking,
right?
Right. But I think that's how humans look at throughout history.
Yeah, because
they dig a cave and paint some shit on a wall.
Right.
Right?
That was for their amusement, but
but we're doing this for our amusement.
Of course.
But we don't know what effect it's going to have.
Well, I was going to say, go back to the origin of this podcast. It was inspired by the fact that your parents had people over at the kitchen table, and that's where all the stories were shared.
Yeah, exactly. Now look what it's involved to.
Look what it's doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I think that's just you don't know when it's over, right?
Well, I guess no, you never know.
Who cares? Just do what you got to do, make it fun.
Well, and conclude up podcast and your book
Yeah.
is to promote interaction,
Yeah.
which we crave as humans.
I hope so.
Well,
Communication.
There's exceptions to every rule, or exceptions to everything out there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I mean, we're promoting interaction. We're promoting communication.
I hope so.
Me in an audio form, you in a legible
Format.
form.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's just the key to. Is it too bold to say it's the key to happiness?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. See what you're going. On that note, thanks
you
for
for
coming
having
over,
me.
brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Best of
appreciate
luck.
it. Thank
We'll
you.
have you back on to see how it's going. You know,
That'd be great.
down the road. Recap. See how
Awesome.
many 90s references you make and how many times we say memes.
Great.
All right, brother.
Thank you,
See
man.
Man, do you agree? Total badass, right? OG, definition of. Hope you enjoyed the show. This guy put a lot of passion and energy into this project. Jump into the show notes and you can grab a copy of it. And goes to a great cause. Check it out. And you want to come on? Tell a story? Bullshit a little bit with me? Doesn't matter because everybody has something to talk about. Hit me up. Best place to do that, Instagram, WKT Podcast, or my website, waltzkitchentable.com. You can find direct links to everywhere you want to listen to the show. And don't forget about our sponsor, Live Rishi, great CBD products to help you with a lot of things. Good night's sleep. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Check it out. Use the code word TABLE. Get a great discount. Going to show you how much we appreciate your support. And YouTube. Did I mention YouTube? Like, subscribe, share. Check out some videos that you can only find over there. Again, thanks everybody. Till next time, much love.